Hey, good morning. It's November 17th. I'm on the phone with Lori Hopkins Cavanaugh, an advocate from the Northeast Connecticut. And on screen, we have an article. Let me take myself off the screen for a moment. It's called Waterford Man Charged with Threatening Governor, and the state police are investigating. This happens all the time in Connecticut. I know 10 people it has happened to. So, when you look at the facts, and by the way, I've gotten many calls from the state police. You can read the police statements. I have them online. You can, for example, let's let Lori on the phone describe this instance where the state police were used by the governor against Jonathan Wright, 41, of 18 Laurel Crest Drive, in second-degree threatening. Okay? Lori, you reading the article in front of you? You want me to read the...
Yeah, well, it's basically, I haven't spoken with Jonathan Wright of Waterford yet, but I plan to do so. I've been following the chilling effects of some of the hate speech laws and the different constitutional violations that the state has been allowed to get away with.
Okay, read the line. Read the line that he was accused of.
Well, one of the lines he tweeted that they do publish says, "You are scum living on borrowed time. President Trump knows what you did to the elderly COVID patients that were sent to nursing homes. All is known, and you will meet your maker, courtesy of a noose and a trapdoor. Treason equals death."
Wow, that's
the fact of the matter is treason. The penalty is death. And whether it happens with a noose and a trapdoor or an injection, that's not a threat. It is an actual legal statement that if you commit treason, the penalty is death. And that's a political statement that is freedom of speech. And there's no such thing as second-degree threatening unless you actually make a statement like, "I'm going to limit the time you're on Earth," or "I'm going to make you meet your maker, courtesy of a noose and trapdoor." Right. But he didn't say any of those things.
Let me ask you a question, because Wright told police that he did not mean anything threatening. What he wrote the tweet, he was angry about what he had heard. So when you incorporate the vaccine push and other things, is the governor of Connecticut, Ned Lamont, using weaponizing hate speech,
weaponizing the state police to go after political speech in our state? And
absolutely.
That's exactly what he's doing.
Absolutely.
And that is a Nazi tactic.
So what do we have to do? Get behind this guy? Do we have to get behind Mr. Wright?
Yes, I believe we do.
I mean, we do have a right to speech, and give our opinions. Right?
Hey, John, here's a couple of things.
Go ahead.
I wanted to get your opinion. That's why I was calling you. I don't know whether it'd be better to protest outside of state police headquarters and say, you cannot be weaponized. The governor cannot weaponize the state police against political speech. Every one of us has to be afraid in our homes now.
Okay.
Because I have said exactly the same things in different ways. And this is all mincing words, but it's all constitutionally protected.
Okay, you know what's interesting? Like, for example, I'm going on my computer right now to a different page, okay? I'm putting in Green. There's a state trooper named Green, okay, who the Sikh uses. In other words, I filed a Sikh complaint, okay, about an assault on Election Day on a blind volunteer at Columbus Magnet School in Norwalk, Connecticut, okay? The state rep of the 140 and his daughter threatened a blind woman because she was a Trump supporter on Election Day volunteering at the poll. So I filed a Sikh complaint. They had a year to decide whether or not they were going to investigate, okay? I never heard from the Sikh at all. However, the Sikh leaked to Dan Haar at the hour that they weren't going to prosecute the Sikh complaint about the assault of a state rep and his daughter on the blind woman at a poll during an election where they pushed her up against the fence. Here we go. So the Sikh used the state police in that case, understand? Not to enforce against a Democrat, when in fact they are there to protect the Democrats only and refuse to prosecute on the same basis.
We're having with the police department. So, that is exactly the problem. When you have a police department or a police chief that's willing to take an action like this on a local level. State police are a little bit different, of course, because they work under Governor Malloy directly and aren't municipal
Lamont,
officers. Yeah. But I'll tell you what, this is chilling. Where is it going to stop? The fact of the matter is, Annie Lamont and Ned Lamont are criminals. They have participated in COVID testing case fraud.
Easy. Be subtle.
Yeah, well, they're criminals. They participated in fraud. People have died because of their fraud. People have committed suicide.
Okay, we gotta make the post usable and not be taken down to make it effective. So what we need to do is rally support for this individual, period, right?
Well, he's going to be arraigned in court on, I don't have it in front of me. There's a date there in, let me go back to Patch. He's going to be arraigned in court on November 29th. He's going to be in Superior Court, probably in New London. I don't know exactly where.
Okay.
I think we need to find this arrest in the state judicial
right.
website.
Well, you know what?
To bring people to we need to bring people not only to the courtroom.
I agree.
So we need to figure out do we need to protest the state police for being fascist and stepping on our constitutional rights by
Agreed. But keep in mind this. T.J. Elgin, who was running for Congress against Jim Himes, was arrested 2 years ago and has not pled yet. They won't accept a not guilty plea from a guy who was a Republican running for Congress against Jim Himes. Tell me how Jim Himes' attorney, Dennis Bradley, who's been indicted, was T.J. Elgin's attorney at the same time. Both congressional candidates had the same attorney. TJ did not know that
oh my God,
Dennis Bradley, hold on, Dennis Bradley was Himes' staffer.
Oh my God.
So hold on. Now hold on, there are other ones too.
So let's focus on this poor guy that's being going through.
I agree, but you're telling us to trust the court when in fact the judge is on a first-name basis with Dennis Bradley. He's like, where's Dennis today?
Who's saying to trust the court?
I'm just saying, you're telling me that we're going to go to the court and trust...
No, we're going to go to the court to protest this entire proceeding.
No, I get you. I just wanted to bring that point in so you could understand that we're in a no-win situation when the judges are in on it.
The problem is I have a freedom of speech claim in the same court right now, an anti-SLAPP violation, and I'm trying to expedite the dismissal of a case against me for anti-SLAPP violations, which are any attempt by anyone to censor speech illegally, constitutional speech illegally, and it expedites the hearing within 60 days. And it's just very curious how this court is going to handle speech going forward. But the fact that the state police is participating in constitutional violations by arresting people is a very, very serious
Well, it's also false arrest, so here he is, subject to false arrest. And the last point I want to make is, if the governor told the police not to follow federal law in a sanctuary state, a blue state, how then are the police supposed to get the respect of the communities when in fact they're knowingly violating the federal law?
I have no idea what we're going to do without our constitutions, but what we have is complete mayhem.
Well, please.
If we cannot speak truth to power, we have nothing. We are slaves, and that has to change.
I thank you.
The police need to know this.
I thank you. I'll share this video with you in 10 minutes, and I applaud you. You are a giant among mollusks.
Well, I appreciate all of your help and also the others that are working towards this effort, which is a mountain. There's no doubt it's a mountain.
It is a mountain, and I'll meet you at the top.
Yes.
Divide and conquer. Very good, my friend. So listen, the only way we're all protected is if we all get on board.
November 29th, the court appearance, but I wanted your opinion on how you handle the state police with this, because we need to object to the state police. We need to file something with them to say
You need to name the police You need to name the police officer in an action. Yes, you do.
Yes, and it has to be the same anti-SLAPP action, but who knows who's going.
The problem is standing.
Going to be taking the money from this poor man's pocket to defend him for constitutionally protected speech. Now he's going to go into the poorhouse trying to protect himself. We should actually do a fundraiser for him. I could use a fundraiser.
I can have Frank Recchi at News Channel. I can have a fundraiser up in an hour through Frank Recchi at News Channel 12, and we can do a story.
What, this guy Wright, he is not going to be able to do his own. He will not be able to go sui juris. So he needs us to help him. And
now explain just for the listening audience what you mean by that, sui juris.
Well, there's two different terms for self-representation, and if you go to court or if you're sued, if there's a complaint against you, you have to file an appearance. And on that appearance form, you either appear as an attorney on the docket or you appear as a self-represented party. They never define self-represented as pro se, and the problem with pro se, and I've gone pro se many times, is that pro se is a term of the Bar Association, subservient to the Bar Association now, because Congress changed its meaning when it allowed, it took away the rights of convicts in jail to represent themselves. So they said nobody who's been guilty of this crime, a federal crime or a federal offense or a state offense, is allowed to represent themselves pro se. Well, I don't agree with that.
Well,
everyone has a God-given right to represent themselves, and they took that away with pro se. So I don't use the term pro se because it is no longer relevant in my life.
Well,
I use the term sui juris, which means I am a child of God. My rights are unalienable. They come from God, and I pass them to government. And the superior court that I'm working in actually works for me, and I am a supreme citizen to that court. So by filing sui juris, I'm retaining all of my rights. My rights cannot be taken away by the court, and they know that. So they don't even know how to handle this, because I'm probably the first person who has filed that.
Having full legal rights or capacity is what the Webster definition is.
Well, so how many sui juris claims have there been in Connecticut? I believe our circle of activists here are probably maybe the only ones to know. I
don't think you should be classified as an activist when it's a protected right in the Constitution. The fact is,
anybody who is pro-Constitution is considered a terrorist now by our federal government, including the parents going to school saying that, hey, I have parental rights and should have a voice in my kids' education. I mean, everything has been stripped from us, all of our rights, unless we stand and say, wait a second, you don't have the right to strip those because they belong to me, not to you.
Okay. And
that's what sui juris is about. But, what I'm dealing with right now, John.
Yeah, we're at 14 minutes, so I want to try to make a decent ending, and then adios, because they drop off at this length.
I'm just saying that this sui juris concept is so scary in so many ways, and without support amongst each other, we all will lose.
Well, keep in mind this. There are court cases, if you look at the record, where Lamont, Malloy had been sued for money laundering, and the judges appointed to the case were appointed by him. Now, there's 4 cases like that. So when you look at the 500,000 felonies he was accused of, they never went to trial. Why? Because a pro se litigator filed the case because he was robbed. The judges denied them fee waivers, juries, denied them Witnesses denied every subpoena. So here you say, take it to court and back the dude. Show support, and maybe if we shine the light on them, they won't be so corrupt. But here we go again. If the police are going after guys because Lamont told them to, and the judges are appointed by Lamont, what are our chances of getting equity through the court? It's practically zero.
Well, the judges themselves are not only political creatures, but they are violating their constitutional oath. And in that fact, they have an administrative violation that they need to...
Right. Let me make one comment about Pritchard. Pritchard is a gentleman who's working with us. Now, he has a case where his house was a $3.5 million house taken because of a $200,000 mortgage which had been duplicated and sold to multiple people. Here we go. So what happened? Mortgage fraud of Judge Spader, okay, who's the lobbyist for the mortgage industry, tied to two law firms steering cases about mortgage fraud to his own firm, where the judge is siding against the pro se litigator, siding with the lawyers he has connections to at the law firms that he currently works at. So when you say, how do you use the court? I'm trying to give us clear, distinctive conflict of interest case that Judge Spader is collecting fees for drive-bys of fees like $135 a month for the mortgage company to assess the value of the property, added to the legal bill, added to the interest, penalties, and taxes of the municipality, collecting fees through his own law firm as a partner, and has committed this type of act hundreds of times, thousands of times in Bridgeport, so that the commissioner of the chief administrative judge of Connecticut, Carroll, took him out of Bridgeport and put him into Norwalk Superior Court as the lead mortgage judge because there's so many complaints against him in Bridgeport. The case is that I'm making is that this judge who committed mortgage fraud thousands of times in Bridgeport didn't get a slap on the wrist. He got promoted to the Stamford Superior Court to steal a $3.5 million house from a Cantor Fitzgerald employee. If you know the World Trade Center bombing history of Cantor Fitzgerald, you got to say to yourself, hold on a second. This guy ran the firm, okay, when the towers got blown up. They collected the remaining employees and tried to do something for the families of the victims. What are they doing? Well, they're going after the Cantor Fitzgerald houses. Why? Because it's an easy target for a corrupt judge to take kickbacks from a law firm using the court system when the deck is stacked in their favor. Now look at this case about this guy. He made a comment. He was emotional. He probably went pretty too far. But it's not a threat of violence. It's marking time. And I'm not defending the statement. I'm defending his right to speak about it.
But wait a second, he didn't really say it. I mean, I'm defending the statement. We're all on borrowed time. We know that. We are all going to meet our maker. We know that. And he's talking about treason. And that's a political statement.
Yeah.
And political speech is sacred speech. And it is... He did not say, I'm going to make you meet your maker. I'm going to do anything to you. He didn't say.
And by the way, this is on Twitter. Keep in mind, this is on Twitter, where terrorist groups have accounts and conservatives are barred.
Yeah. Well, I think that what concerns me most is that we don't have any system to protect these citizens. So there's
okay,
no
so here we go.
We can call.
We need to get a group that's like-minded, like you and like me, and I support your efforts. You're really a loud gong clanging. I'm going after certain things. People go after different topics, but we can't fix this state if we don't have recognized numbers and strength. In other words, support system. The Republicans are independents, and they have no support system. They're all about free markets and free thinking. Meanwhile, the Democrats have this fine-tuned machine.
That's not true. The Republicans in Connecticut have not voted for free markets and free thinking. They voted for trains to nowhere. They voted for every corporatist concept possible. They are in bed, I'm telling you, with many of them, with the people, and they vote for Democrats.
No, you're talking about the GOP. I'm talking about the individual conservative Connecticut Republican.
Individual conservative Connecticut Republicans are not the people leading the party.
Well, there's only about 1,000 in New Haven, that's for sure, out of 139,000 residents.
But you got a lot of heart and a lot of guts in New Haven.
Well, we'll see. So let's wrap it up because it's pretty long, but I welcome you to use this platform. And
yeah, I gotta remember it's a platform versus a conversation because I call you to speak to you personally.
Yeah.
And now I don't really.
No. See, this is the key.
All the time.
This is the key. You brought something to my attention I was not aware of. Now, how many times a day do we do that? All day, every day. I get emails all day, every day saying, Johnny, I didn't know that. Wow, this is insane. I say, yeah. Well, look at this. And they go, oh my God, that's even worse. All the time. All the time.
Well, it's we call it raining bullets.
Yeah.
And the problem is that when you're looking up at the skies and it's raining bullets. I mean, which one do you dodge first, and how? So there's no roadmap to this because we're actually occupied.
Yeah.
Our Constitution has to be defended, and that's the war we're in right now.
No, there is a roadmap, and all roads lead to the corruption of Congressman Jim Himes, period. That's the only roadmap in the state.
You have 4 others that go down.
No. I mean, if you're on oversight of FBI and they're corrupt, and you're on the oversight of the NSA and they're surveilling everyone, and you're on the FISA court with oversight and they framed a sitting president, I mean, you gotta wonder.
Well, then we have the 2nd District of Connecticut where I ran for Congress against Courtney, and he doesn't say boo, while 17,000 people at Electric Boat face either leaving their job, which is a national security problem, when shipbuilders leave because they're being forced to be vaccinated, and you don't hear a peep from him, not a peep.
Not a peep. No, and here we go.
I'd love to have you
Here we go.
come down to
The Houthis had a terrorist organization emblem lifted by Blumenthal and Murphy. So here we go. They take over the American embassy last Wednesday, and meanwhile Saudi Arabia is not allowed to buy munitions from Electric Boat. That's insane.
I think they have enough of our equipment over in the Middle East right now.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's in the hands of the Taliban. You're right, because Murphy just gifted it to the Taliban in Afghanistan. All right.
I'll talk to you.
A pleasure. Bye. That's Lori Hopkins Cavanaugh. My word, she's a treasure. She ran for U.S. Congress against Joe Courtney a couple of years ago, and she did quite well, but obviously we think that since the elections haven't been fixed and that Joe Courtney's an H.R. 1 fan, that will never get justice. And explain to me how only 10,000 people in New Haven recently voted when there's 139,000, and they came out in droves and voted for Biden over Trump, when in fact they're just not interested in voting at all. Have a great day. 24 minutes. Oh my.